What if I told you that the reason you're struggling to stay motivated has nothing to do with how smart you are or how talented you think you are, but everything to do with how you view control in your life? Imagine this. You're working hard, you're pushing yourself, and then suddenly, the motivation slips away. The spark you had when you started is gone. Maybe you're stuck, or you've hit a wall. You start to wonder, why am I even trying? But here's the shocking truth. Your motivation is being controlled by something you might not even realize. What if I told you there's a hidden force at play that decides whether you keep pushing or give up? A 1998 study by Professor Claudia M. Mueller at Columbia University uncovered the truth. A simple experiment with fifth graders showed what really fuels motivation, and it's not what you think. These students faced the same challenging puzzles. Some were praised for being smart, while others were praised for working hard. But the results? They were shocking. I'm going to reveal exactly how their beliefs about control determined their success, and how you can use this same idea to supercharge your own motivation. Let me walk you through the experiment. Professor Mueller had a group of fifth graders work on challenging puzzles. Now, no matter how well they did, every student was told they performed exceptionally well. But here's where it gets interesting. Half of them were told they did great because they were smart and gifted, while the other half were told they did well because they worked hard. Then came the real test. They were given 3 new types of puzzles: easy ones, medium ones, and the most challenging puzzles you could imagine. And this is where things got crazy. The kids who were told they were smart, they spent almost all their time on the easy puzzles. They barely touched the hard ones. They were afraid to fail because their success was tied to being smart. And when asked about their experience, they didn't enjoy it at all. But the kids who were praised for working hard, they attacked the difficult puzzles head on. They spent more time solving the challenges, and here's the kicker, they said they actually enjoyed the whole experience more than their peers. So what's the big takeaway from this study? It all comes down to locus of control, a concept that might change how you look at motivation forever. Locus of control is how much you believe you have control over your life. The kids who were told they were smart, they believed in an external locus of control. They thought their success was out of their hands based on something like intelligence they had no control over. But the kids who were praised for their hard work, they believed in an internal locus of control. They knew that their effort, their hard work was what led to success. It wasn't about being born smart. It was about how much they put into the task. They owned their results. And that's the key. And here's the kicker. Studies on locus of control show that if you have an internal locus of control, you're far more likely to stay motivated. Why? Because when you feel like your actions are the driving force in your life, you don't just wait for things to happen, you make things happen. I saw this in action myself when I was managing a door-to-door sales team. Now, this wasn't your average retail or car sales gig. This was the real deal, old school door-to-door. And let me tell you, the turnover rate was insane. Most people didn't last a week, rejection after rejection, day in and day out. It's tough. But over time, I started to recognize who would last and who wouldn't. It wasn't about who had the gift of gab or the best smile. It was about attitude. The recruits who blamed the weather, the product, the script, or even the neighborhoods, they all had an external locus of control. They were looking for excuses, and they rarely lasted more than a week. But the ones who said things like, I need to work on overcoming objections, or maybe I need to practice my pitch more, or I need to knock on more doors, those were the ones who had an internal locus of control. They didn't blame anyone or anything else. They took ownership of their actions. And guess what? Those were the ones who became the top performers. They didn't just survive the tough times, they thrived. So here's the lesson. If you want to stay motivated and succeed, you must take ownership of everything in your life. Stop blaming the government, your boss, your circumstances, or your past. Take control of your own destiny. Because the moment you stop blaming the world around you and start accepting responsibility for your own actions, that's when you start to take control of your life. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you really took ownership of something? Not just when things went right, but also when they went wrong? It's easy to blame others when things don't go your way. We've all done it. But here's the truth. As long as you keep blaming others for your setbacks, you'll never truly be in control. The key to motivation is simple. Take control. Own your results. Own your actions. Own your life. When you do this, something amazing happens. Motivation becomes natural. You no longer wait for the perfect conditions. You create them. From now on, when you hit a challenge, don't say, this is too hard. Say, I'll figure it out. Instead of blaming the circumstances, say, I've got this. Take full responsibility for your journey. That's when you'll tap into the real power of motivation. That's when you'll realize that success isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you create. So here's your challenge. Start taking full ownership of everything in your life today. No more excuses. No more blaming others. The moment you do that, you take back control, and that's when your motivation will go through the roof. Thanks for watching. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one area in your life where you're going to start taking full ownership today?